Welcome everyone to today's Hatha yoga practice. So for today's practice, I recommend that you have a cushion or a chip block, something that you might find comfortable to sit on. You can also use it for extra padding for underneath your knees. Alternately, you could have a blanket folded up that you could place underneath your knee joints while we're kneeling to help create a little bit more facility and to make kneeling a little bit more comfortable if you require. Also, I would recommend having some yoga blocks. And you might also want to have a sweater or a pair of socks that you can put on at the end of class for Shavasana. So for today's practice, it's going to be more of a practice of exploration. So for those of us that practice regularly, you might notice that when we come to our mat, we tend to do the same pattern of movement, or we tend to start our practice the same way. We tend to practice through our sun salutations, or we tend to practice certain forms in a ritual way, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it can be very helpful in creating a consistent pattern of practice for us. The side effect to that is that we can often become a little bit stagnant in our practice, where we practice the patterns and the movements that feel comfortable in our body, which could potentially prevent us from exploring other movements and exploring where our bodies can actually take us. So for today's practice, we're going to be working through our yoga forms, but there will be an ongoing invitation for you to explore them differently. So a simple example might be, if you are someone who never uses props for your practice, maybe today is a day that you will choose to use props, whether or not you physically, quote unquote, need them or not. Perhaps bringing props into your practice to change the shape or change the ease with which you move into certain forms, that can open the lens a little bit wider of how movements actually feel in your body, creating sort of a reference point. Also, I'm encouraging you to be really playful in your practice. So I will be giving you some cues on how to change different forms. And of course, if being playful and exploring doesn't sit well with you today, then just continuing to practice your practice in your quote unquote normal way, but maybe playing with changing the breath, or even simply changing the orientation of the mat or which direction you're facing. So all of these things are things that I'm going to invite you to explore. So to start today, I will invite you to come to sitting. And as you come to take your seat, maybe consider right off the top how you normally sit. So if you normally sit with your legs crossed in a cross-legged position, maybe you want to change the cross of your legs with your other leg in front. Or perhaps you want to start by sitting on your knees. So that's how I'm going to start today, because normally I start with my legs crossed, but I'm going to start by sitting on my knees this morning. And we're just going to take a couple minutes here to just get connected and settled into our practice space, onto our mat. So whenever you've taken the position that feels best for you, I'm actually going to add a block underneath my seat to make it even more accessible for me this morning. So as you've come to take your seat, just take a couple moments here to gather whatever props you need. And then as you're ready, maybe allowing yourself to settle in a little bit. So whichever position you've assumed, just start to be aware of your contact points with the floor. And just noticing how this change in position creates a different scope of sensations that you can be experiencing. I will encourage you to explore as much as possible, but also listen to your body and pay attention to sensations of discomfort. We want to be exploratory, but I would encourage you to not do anything that perhaps creates strong feelings of discomfort or even pain in your body. So then as you're ready, we'll start with a little bit of awareness on breath. And again, here's another opportunity. If you generally close your eyes to come into breath awareness, maybe today you choose to allow the gaze to soften and keeping the eyes open. So again, just taking an opportunity to choose how you want to start. And just allowing your body to settle. And then maybe turning on a spotlight of awareness onto the breath. Not necessarily changing the breath at all, just simply noticing how it feels. Using this moment to perhaps explore creating a little bit more length in your spine. Maybe feeling what it would feel like to round your back and then arch your back. Just exploring that. Again, maybe starting a little bit differently than how you would normally start practice. Maybe even doing some side bending. So the purpose again of the movements is just to explore how the body feels moving in non-habitual patterns. So just in a different way than what you would normally do. And then as you're ready, coming back to stillness and just noticing whatever sensations might be present with that gentle exploration. And again, if you don't normally set an intention for a practice, this might be a good place to set an intention. Perhaps it could be setting an intention of being curious and exploring the movement of the body. If you tend to practice in a very strong way, perhaps an intention today could be to practice in a more gentle and a softer manner. Or maybe if you normally set an intention, maybe you set no intention and just allow whatever to come up to come up. And then when you're ready, if your eyes were closed, you can open your eyes or just widen the gaze. And invitation to move into hands and knees to practice exploring a little bit through the cat and cow form. So as you move into this next form, maybe consider the ways in which you've practiced this in the past and start to explore options of doing it in a different way. So at your own pace, maybe you choose to take your legs a little bit wider as you start to move to cat and cow. So again, in this practice, I'm more just giving you a rough framework. I'm not expecting you to follow the movements that I'm creating. I'm just giving you some options so that there is a bit of direction for the practice. How you choose to perform the forms or the movements is completely up to you. So maybe starting to explore cat and cow in a different way, completely up to you. Maybe you move a little bit more deeply if that feels right. Maybe you keep it a little bit smaller. Maybe you take the legs really wide, or maybe you take the knees very close together. So just start to explore a little bit of what that would look like for you. Again, there's no rules. My only suggestion would be to maybe do it in a way that feels different. So one of the ways that you could change this form perhaps would be to change the position of the hands. So I'm going to explore what it would be like to take my hands with my fingers pointing backwards. Okay, so again, invitation to explore. You could also do this with your hands pointing out or the hands pointing in. So again, this is just how I'm choosing to explore this form. And then just as you're here, just noticing how the change in arm position or leg position changes your experience of the movement. And just noticing. So as we start to explore in a way that is not the natural way that we move, we want to move forward in a gentle way so that we allow time for our body to accommodate. Maybe having one hand go one direction and your other hand go the other direction, that could be an interesting thing to look at. And then switching that around if you like. So again, really just giving yourself permission to quote unquote break the yoga rules, doing it different. Just exploring and having fun with it. Maybe taking your hands super wide, maybe bending the elbows. So really just taking some time here to move your body in a way that is different. And then maybe as you feel ready, this might be a good place to come back and rest into some form of child's pose or balasana. So maybe taking the knees extra wide and the arms extra wide, allowing yourself just a moment here of stillness to explore a new form, but also to allow your body to take in the information that it's received from this new pattern that you're moving in. Moving forwards and backwards a little bit. Adding some movement here. Again, just exploring, seeing how it feels. And if you move into an exploration and it doesn't feel good, well, that's great information to have. You can choose something else. Good, and then just coming into center, maybe coming really narrow, see what that would feel like. Really rounding through the back. Super, and we're gonna just start to make our way to stand. So the suggestion here would be to tuck the toes under and just press back. See what that feels like. Again, maybe this is something you could do differently. Maybe do 1 foot at a time, let one foot relax, and then switch. Moving gently, just exploring. Good, and then perhaps sitting up, making your way, starting to bring your seat towards your heels. Maybe this feels better or different to go a little bit wider. You can play around with that. Do a little bit of side to side. Maybe come up, see how that feels. And then as you're ready, we're going to come to standing. So perhaps rather than just stepping to the front of your mat, if that's how you normally do it, maybe you practice rocking through the toes to pick up the knees. Maybe you explore here a little bit. If you're already in standing, then that's great. Just explore your feet in standing. So again, I have no script here. I'm just moving intuitively, and I'm encouraging you to move intuitively as well. And then maybe Doing a little bit of heel lifts here, keeping the elbows bent, or maybe that doesn't feel right. Maybe that's how you normally do it. And so maybe you want to come up to your hands to your thighs. You get the idea. We're just doing it different today. And then slowly rolling, and then invitation to come to whatever you call the top of your mat. And I'm going to use yoga blocks today. Normally often I don't use blocks, but I'm going to change my practice today to use some blocks. So if you would like to do the same, feel free to do that. And just walking through the feet, bending the knees, see how that feels. Maybe sitting in the seat really far back and then coming up to see how that feels. Okay, again, just exploring, starting off a little bit differently today. All right, so we're going to move into some half sun salutes or Ardha Surya Namaskar, so just the start. So let's come to stillness, and maybe you can make a choice, perhaps exploring with your feet a little bit wider apart, which is what I'm going to do today. And then let's inhale, take the arms to the sky in a different way than you normally would. So if you normally go through the front, maybe you go up to the side, maybe you bring your hands in and you reach up. So again, just explore that. Add a little bit of movement here, a little bit of shifting. Maybe you want to reach out with your arms. So again, whatever you like, just explore that. And then coming into a forward fold in a way that is different from how you normally do. Let the head hang, maybe bend the knees here. I'm going to bend my knees a lot today. Maybe do a little bit of swaying. And then coming to center, and then I'm going to ragdoll up. Hands to the sky. And then if it feels right, maybe do a little tiny back bend, just a little one. And then hands come down. Okay, let's do that a couple more times. Again, in a way that is different from what you normally do. Just take your time here, really exploring the movement. Again, I'm just offering a reference. You choose what you need to do for yourself as it needs to be done. Explore as much as you want. So really taking the practice and making it a little bit more intuitive. Another way you could change it up for yourself is if you don't normally move with the breath, perhaps today you choose to move with the breath, so that with each breath, inhaling, there's a movement that matches. You might find that this could potentially slow your practice down. If you tend to practice slowly and you want to speed your practice up, that's fine as well. And then really just exploring, letting your body tell you what to do as opposed to me. All right, let's add a little bit of more sun salutation. So we're going to move into a lunge. So again, however you like, moving it differently. And again, not everything needs to be different. Maybe you just take a couple of pieces and change them around. All right, and then as you're ready, an invitation to, in whatever way feels right for you, just to take that right foot and step back into a lunge. And here, maybe again, you don't drop into the regular lunge that you do. Maybe you do a little bit of play here. Maybe you let your foot slide out, let your foot slide in. Again, just exploring what feels right for the body. And then let's take that other leg back and step it into plank. So again, maybe you explore a little bit here, side to side. And then let's come into our downward facing dog. I'm using my blocks. If you're going to use blocks for downward dog, maybe make sure that you're on a yoga mat so they're not going to slide away. Bending the knees, Taking the hips side to side. See how that feels. And then let's come forward. And then however you can get to the floor. So I'm going to bring my knees down, take the blocks out of the way. And I'm just going to lower myself down. Tops of the feet pressing down into the earth. And I'm just going to explore a little bit here in Cobra. So again, coming into a little Cobra, maybe making it more movement-based, coming down, coming up again, coming down. Let's do one more. Coming up, whatever, however high feels right for you. Come down. And then let's make our way back into our downward facing dog, pressing up onto the knees. And then however you like to get to dog. Explore again. Maybe bend the knees, maybe bring one leg to the sky. Ooh, try not to wreck the furniture. Maybe open up that hip. Good. Maybe take the other leg up. Open up that hip. Maybe you step your legs long, or maybe you step them wide and just play here in a wider stance. Again, just seeing what your body has available for you today. Good. And then however you can, stepping, walking, jumping to the top of the mat. I'm going to bring my blocks back, pressing in to lengthen through the spine. And then I'm going to bend my knees here quite strongly. I want myself to kind of settle down. And then pressing, rolling up. Arms to the sky. And then hands down. And then maybe shake that out. Take a moment, pause. So really letting go of what the yoga practice, quote unquote, should look like or normally looks like, and then just changing that and making it more about just moving your body in a way that feels good. All right, let's repeat that on the other side. So again, remember this round doesn't have to look the same as the other. It can be whatever you want. And then pull forward, bending the knees. We're just giving our bodies a chance to talk to us. Let us know what it needs. Let us know what feels good, what feels like a challenge. And let's take that left leg, move into a lunge. So again, I'm just providing the structure. You can, or pardon me, I'm providing the frame. You can add or take away from that as much as you want. Maybe you take that foot out, see what that feels like. Maybe you take that foot in. Just be mindful here. Good, and then let's step back into whatever version of downward dog. Maybe this is going to be different than the last time. Maybe you combine this with your plank. So maybe you rise up onto your toes, come forward, and scoop and go up. So again, maybe making this a little bit more movement-based. See how it feels. Right. And then as you're ready, finding your way down onto the earth, whatever that looks like. Maybe doing a little bit of side to side. You might use to do cobra again. I think I'm going to explore Sphinx pose where I'm just going to come up onto my elbows and I'm just going to stay here with a little bit of side to side movement. So again, just explore what feels right for you. Coming down. Just press back into your down dog. I really like this wide angle, so I'm going to widen my feet and I'm actually going to shorten my dog. by walking my hands back. So I'm almost in more of a straddle forward fold. Do a little bit of rocking here. See how that feels. And then coming back, stepping that left foot up towards your hands, maybe, and then maybe that right foot up. And then pressing, rolling up, hands to the sky. And then take it down. And then maybe just exploring some more movement. Again, no rules here, just seeing how everything feels. Coming to stillness. Maybe doing a little bit of work with the head. All right, let's add on, let's change this a little bit. Let's take this into a bit of a chair form. So let's sit our hips back. And maybe you go a little bit wider with your chair. Whew, lose your balance. Maybe you take your feet a little bit narrower. Okay, so explore that. See how that feels. Sit down, arms up. And then forward fold. Maybe with the feet wider. Again, just add whatever movement feels right for you. Maybe I'm going to walk my feet in. And then take hands to thighs. Reach out through that crown. Now let's take the right foot. We're going to start to add some different forms here. Let's take the right foot. Let's take the right foot, step it back, place the heel in. And then let's move into our warrior two. So press through the left leg, climb your way up, and then play with your feet. It doesn't need to look like the traditional warrior two. Maybe you take your feet closer, maybe you take them wider, maybe you keep movement, maybe you ignore the arm work. So whatever it is, just do a little bit of movement here. And then if you like, you can settle. And maybe you just do a little side bend action. So it doesn't have to be your traditional warrior two. Maybe you just take your arms and you circle them. Just to do something different. Good. And then as you're ready, let's try a modification of reverse warrior. So maybe we scoop that arm up. Maybe we have no hands connecting into the legs. Maybe we just reach. Maybe you reach both arms here. See how that feels. And then let's come into some form of side angle. So whatever, maybe you let this hand come down and you sort of explore here. So it's kind of like a broken side angle. Just see what that feels like. Or maybe you want to stay more traditional, but you want to do a little bit of arm movement. Just see what that feels like. Totally up to you. Play around. Let's come back up. And then moving into some version of triangle. So let's see what we can do here. Let's take this left arm and reach it, take it down. And maybe this is as far as we go today, or maybe you make the most crooked triangle you can. So maybe you let this come forward, maybe you come here, explore that action, see what that feels like. So whatever you do, keeping yourself safe, right? Stable, but it's just different. Just a different way to move. Good. And then we can go into half moon form, which for some of us might be new, but that's okay, we can try. So let's take, you can use your block. I'm going to use my block. I'm going to take my block and I'm going to reach it. Step that right leg in and I'm going to reach that block forward just in front of my pinky toe on my left foot. And then I'm just going to play here. See what that would feel like to lift that leg a little bit or a lot. And then maybe I can let my other arm hang, or maybe I take it to the sky. Again, bend and straighten the leg. Good, and then bending that left knee. Let's bring that right foot down and let's come into stand. and bring that right leg up. And take it down and bring it up. So moving into some form of balance. Maybe you want to be here, maybe you want to be here, maybe you want to come in to your dancer form. So maybe this, it doesn't matter to me, just picking something that you're working with balancing. Maybe you're constantly moving the leg, maybe you explore tree, maybe it's a crooked tree. See how that feels. Just doing it all different today. Just doing it different today. See what that feels like. Good, and then taking that arm down. Whatever you're doing with that right leg, let's release it and step it back. And then turn a quarter turn to the right so that now you're in a wide straddle pose. And maybe do a little bit side to side hip action here. Then we're gonna go into temple form, or some people call goddess. So let's take our heels, let's turn them in. Maybe you go a little bit wider to make it different. And then maybe just coming down and sitting. Maybe you don't go the deepest that you can go today. And then just supporting the hands. Maybe doing a little bit of side to side action. And maybe a little bit of shoulder stretch here. Right, so really just exploring what is possible in our bodies when we let go of the rigidity of forms. And I'm not saying that following structure isn't important. I think it is important. It gives you a good idea of what your body feels good doing, what feels available to your body, and what feels more challenging. And it's important for developing a good sense of alignment. There's nothing wrong with that. But today's focus is just to explore in a different way. We know how we feel when we feel safe, supported, and stable. And so now we're just going to explore different forms, but always trying to also access a little that stability and support. Good. And then take your feet parallel. And if it feels right for you, it might feel good to come into a forward fold here. Maybe pressing the legs straight if you normally keep your knees bent, or if you normally keep your legs straight, bending the knees. But let's just explore here in the straddle form. Maybe today choose differently by grabbing the backs of your calves and folding forward, or grabbing the heels, folding forward, or maybe taking the hands between the legs. So again, just changing, noticing differences, and then slowly bending the knees, rolling yourself up. And let's do one more quarter turn to face the other edge of the mat. Just stepping forward here. Coming back into Tadasana, mountain pose. Maybe we take this into a stretch, side bending here. And then other side. And again. Good, bringing the arms down. Rolling the shoulders. And we're going to do the same series, sort of, with the left leg. So let's take the left foot, step it back, coming into some version of warrior two. So again, maybe you keep the movement in the form by bending and straightening the knee. Maybe you hold and you use the arms to create some movement, totally up to you. And also, it doesn't need to be the same. So what you did on the first side for today, it doesn't need to be the same on the second side. So really just pay attention. See what your body likes. See what it wants. Some version of reverse warrior, maybe both hands, maybe one hand, maybe cupping the back of your head to allow you to do a little bit more extension. And then coming back to warrior two, straightening the leg, rolling the shoulders. Let's do a side angle. So again, Maybe you stick with the more structured form here. Maybe you let yourself get a little crooked and come here, making it a movement, flow form. Again, totally up to you. Maybe you do a little bit of everything. Just explore. See what your tendencies are. And then coming up, doing a triangle. Maybe you bring your feet together. Maybe you take them wider apart. Let's take this hand and reach. Maybe really focusing on the reach with that arm. Slow. Maybe you come here. Maybe you do the more traditional triangle. Maybe you do a crooked triangle. Totally up to you. Just play with that. See what works. And then if you wanted to try the half moon, so you would take this right hand, bending the right knee, place the right hand on the pinky side of the right foot, step forward. I need to step back, otherwise I'm going to bonk my head on the wall. Step forward and then extend that leg. Maybe bend and straighten. Maybe be okay with being off balance. Or extend the arm here. Maybe lift and lower. Point and flex. Ooh. And if you fall out, just come back. Good. And then let's bend the knee, bring the foot down, come back into standing. And then whatever balance form you'd like to take. So again, maybe just bringing the knee forward and then back. Just playing with that, see how that feels. Maybe you come into your dancer. Maybe you want to explore your tree. Maybe you do all of the above. Ooh, play with balance. And then let's release that left leg. We're going to step it out and back. So we come back, quarter turn to the left, back into our straddle form. Maybe do a side to side here. And we're going to do temple again. So let's take the feet, turn it out, and then you can decide how far down. Maybe you want to explore how low you can go. So maybe you can play a little bit with that. Maybe you want to play with just lifting the heel. Or maybe you want to stay in that suspended, what we call like a suspension bridge here, and just do a little bit side to side. Maybe round the back. Maybe arch. So just play around with that. Breathing. Shoulders away from the ears. Bringing your feet to parallel. Hands come forward. Maybe you investigate the forward fold again. Let yourself hang. Maybe if you're used to doing as much as possible in your practice, maybe today you do less. Maybe today you do one form or two forms in each series, and maybe you just breathe. Go slow. Totally up to you. So we're going to be making our way to the mat. And for those who want to explore malasana or deep squat, bending the knees, walking your feet in a little bit, letting your toes turn out. And if you want to explore malasana with me, just let yourself squat down here. Good. And if you normally take your hands in front of you like I am, maybe you keep your hands on the floor. Maybe you just do side to side. Just see what that feels like. And then let's make our way onto our seat. So however you want to do that. And taking the legs out in front. So now for the next 2 minutes, I would like you to explore some forms on your own. So I'm just going to sit, and for 2 minutes, starting now, I would like you to take some time to explore some forms on your own. Perhaps you're doing a twist, or perhaps there's something that you want to do in standing. So whatever it is that you choose to do, feel free to do that. Maybe you want to just lay in Shavasana for the next 2 minutes. We will be doing Shavasana, but maybe you want to take a little time out right now. So whatever it is that you like to do, we've got about 1.5 minutes left. Just explore on your own. I'm going to fall silent just to let you play. All right, you've got about another 10 seconds to wrap up the forms. And then I'll invite everyone to come into sitting, and we're just going to do a little bit of Janu Shirshasana or head to knee form. So let's take the left leg and pull it in. It doesn't matter where, it doesn't have to be traditional. So just pulling that in towards the groin. You can take that right leg extended out in front of you, maybe out to the side or directly in front, maybe making space for your yoga dog. And then just folding forward here, whatever that feels right for you. So again, as long as you feel safe and you're not feeling pain, just coming into a form here and breathing. And then coming up, let's do the same thing on the other side. Repositioning your yoga dog, your comfort dog. And coming forward. Bella just woke up, so she needs some morning love. And again, just super gentle exploring here. And then coming up, and then let's do Paschimottanasana or full forward fold. So you can take the legs in front, and maybe they don't go right together. Maybe you keep them a little bit apart, and then just reaching for whatever's comfortable. So maybe it's just the shins, or maybe it's the floor, but just coming forward. We're starting to wind our practice down. And then making your way up. Now let's come onto our back, and an invitation for you to come into some sort of twist. So I'm going to do a lying twist, just because I know that that feels really good on my body, and there's lots of different variations, but this is the one that I'm going to choose. So I'm just going to bring my feet together. I'm going to lift my hips, and I'm going to shift them to my right, and pardon me, to my left. And then I'm going to let my knees come to the right. I'm just going to pause here. You might choose to look the opposite direction to your knees. Maybe you take your right hand, rest it on the top of your left thigh. We're just making our way closer and closer to Shavasana, closer and closer to Pratyahara, where we take a moment to close off the outside world, allow ourselves to turn our focus more and more deeply inward to our own natural rhythms, our breath, our heartbeat. And then as we're ready, inviting you to change sides, lifting your hips, going the other side, bringing the knees together. And again, maybe turning your head opposite the knees. Whatever feels best for you this morning or this evening, whenever it is that you're practicing. Really letting the body start to settle here, slowing down as we prepare for Shavasana. And then bringing your legs back to center. And we're going to move into Shavasana now. So my invitation for you is, if you normally don't use a bolster or blanket, maybe today take the time to do that. Grab a bolster, grab a blanket. I'm going to come into sitting because if I lay down in Shavasana, I can't guarantee that I will be able to close the class. So as you're ready, coming into Shavasana, covering yourself up. Maybe today you put a covering over your eyes to really close down the light. Staying here as you inhale and exhale. Taking your awareness to breath. And I'm going to offer some suggestions for you. And if it feels right and you choose to practice along with me, that's fine. You may repeat these to yourself, or you might choose to just receive the guidance. So taking your attention to your feet. I invite my feet to relax. And my feet are relaxing. I invite my legs to relax. And my legs are relaxing. I invite my pelvis, my hips, and my lower back to relax. My pelvis, my hips, and my lower back are relaxing. I invite my lower abdomen, my upper abdomen, and my middle back to relax. My lower abdomen, my upper abdomen, and my middle back are relaxing. I invite my chest, my upper back, and the tops of my shoulders to relax. My chest, my upper back, and the tops of my shoulders are relaxing. I invite my shoulders, my arms, and my hands to relax. My shoulders, my arms, and my hands are relaxing. I invite my neck, my throat, and the muscles around my jaw to relax. My neck, my throat, and the muscles around my jaw are relaxing. I invite the muscles of my face and my scalp to relax. The muscles of my face and my scalp are relaxing. I invite the top of my head, the sides of my head, and the back of my head to relax. The top of my head, the sides of my head, and the back of my head are relaxing. I invite my whole body to relax. And my whole body is relaxing. And then slowly bringing your awareness back to the room. We'll do our pranayama exercise right here, wherever you are. So whether you're sitting down or whether you're lying down, just stay where you are, but consciously bring yourself back into the space. And we're just going to practice the Dirga breath, or the three-part yogic breath. So as you inhale, allow your attention to notice the expansion of your abdomen, the expansion of your chest, and the lifting and expansion under the collarbones. And then as you exhale, notice how the upper chest and collarbones soften, the middle of the chest softens, and the belly softens. And at the bottom of the exhalation, draw the belly in ever so slightly to make a little puffing sound, almost like it's a little hook. So you're pulling into the tiniest little bit. And then start again. Inhaling, noticing how the abdomen distends, the rib cage and chest expands, and the lifting and opening under the collarbones. And then as you exhale, notice the softening under the collarbones, the retraction of the chest as it sinks or closes, and the softening of the belly. And at the bottom of the exhale, pull in ever so slightly on your abdominals to exhale the last little drop of air through the nose, like a little sniff. So we're going to practice this breath 4 times, and we're going to practice it with a 4 count. So if you're able, let's begin by inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, and then exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Using the Dirga breath. If this is not comfortable for you, then just return to your natural breath pattern. Let's try that 3 more times. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do one more round. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Now releasing Dirga breath, just coming back to your natural breath and just pausing here and allowing your awareness to notice any sensations, emotions, or thoughts that might be present with this breath work that affects the subtle energy of the body. Just noticing how you're feeling. And then we'll close with a short meditation. So as you're ready, turning over onto one side to come into a sitting form that is comfortable for you. Perhaps wrapping yourself in a blanket. And then allowing your hands to rest palms up or palms down in your lap, or maybe cupped with the right hand and the left thumbs touching. And then softening the gaze. And if it feels right for you today, you might choose to close your eyes, or you can allow your eyes to remain open, but just softening the eyes so that you're not actually trying to look or see anything. Just finding a spot to allow the eyes to rest. And just bringing attention and awareness to sensations of breathing wherever they feel most dominant in your body. So you might notice the breath at the level of the level of the nostrils, pardon me, right at the aperture, right at the opening. You might notice a coolness of air moving in as you inhale. And then perhaps noticing a warmth of air as you exhale. Perhaps you notice the breath as it tickles the back of the throat on the inhalations and the exhalations. Or maybe you notice the rise and fall of the chest. Or perhaps the expansion of the belly on the inhale and the softening of the belly on the exhale. Wherever it is that you feel the breath, just allow a spotlight of attention to rest there. As your mind gets distracted, which it most surely will, and that's okay. Just allow yourself to bring your attention, guiding it gently back to the breath as you inhale and exhale. Allowing yourself to rest in the certainty of the next breath, and the next breath, and the next breath. And then slowly releasing awareness of breath, allowing your attention to expand to include the sounds in the room, the temperature of the room, the feeling of the clothes on your body. And then as you're ready, if the eyes were closed, don't opening the eyes or widening the gaze. And then bringing your hands into your heart. We'll finish with 3 ohms. Taking a breath in. bowing your head, giving thanks to your body and all the work that it does to move you through the day, thanking all of the people that you meet in your day as they play a part in helping you to be the best person that you can be. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, and may you move through the rest of your day with ease. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.